Meanwhile, on this fine network, the attention about the Olympics. I know a lot of you are saying, Neil, you're so fixated on the Olympics as if you would ever even entertain being in one. Well, you don't know that, do you? But the fact of the matter is, since South Korea is hosting, it wants to do everything it possibly can to make sure there's no trouble from the North. Hence an overture on the part of the South Korean president to tell the North Korean president, why don't you come on down, try a couple events, see what you think, and maybe just not bomb anyone. Not that simple here, but right now there are overtures between the two, which is putting the U.S. in an odd position to the Center for National Interest Director, Harry Kazianis. Harry, good to have you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Neil.
We're kind of boxed in on this, right?
I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, look, I think Winston Churchill had it right. It's always better to jaw than it is to war. And the president tweeted out on this today, you know, maybe there is some good that can come out of South Korea and North Korea talking. I mean, even if they do talk, it would take months to even really get anything started. You know, there's potential that North Korean athletes could compete in the Olympics, and that's great. I don't think that's a bad thing.
What do you think of Lindsey Graham saying that would be a travesty? I'm paraphrasing here, but that to even allow that would be really awful, you say?
No, I think that's going a little too far. I mean, look, they're athletes. We tend to over-politicize these things. If North Korean athletes want to compete, I say that's fine. My question is, what are the North Koreans going to want for that? Usually they want to be bribed. Usually they want sanctions lifted. So I doubt they're just going to want this clean. They're going to want something for it.
Well, obviously, this overture on the part of the North Koreans came via address by Kim Jong-un in an address to the nation, but this time wearing a gray suit. A lot of people made a big deal of that because they've always seen him in black, which I find to be a thinning color. But in his case, he chose that, and people say that wasn't by accident. I'm told that generally lighter colors are more inviting, a warmer image. Didn't exactly do the trick here in these images, but what do you make of that?
Well, I want to know who Kim Jong-un's tailor is. I mean, usually he has this Maoist garb on, kind of like you said, it's very black, very dark, but, you know, double-breasted, kind of looks like a gangster almost. You know, I was thinking maybe this was kind of a PR move to lighten his image, but to me he looked more like Al Capone than, you know, a business leader. So I don't think it did him any favors, to be honest with you.
Well, we won't be so tacky to talk about I thought the suit didn't fit, but I'll just go in another direction. Do you find, though, in this, I've always been worried that South Koreans were very worried about making good on $1 billion-plus investment for these Olympic Games, and they don't want anything to deter from that. But already it's unlikely the Russians will participate because the IOC doesn't want them to participate, at least under the banner of Russia. And then other countries closer to the event in February are going to say, you know what, this is looking kind of dicey here. We don't want anything to do with it. In other words, could this lead the South Koreans to do things they might regret later?
I think so, to be honest with you. And the South Koreans are in a bad position here.
Absolutely.
You know, they've put billions of dollars into this. You know, even American firms and others have put billions of dollars into this. So this is a no-win situation for everybody. So, of course, the South Koreans are going to try to make the best of it. But I guarantee you, Neil, the North Koreans are going to use this for propaganda advantage. They're going to test an ICBM or a nuclear weapon or try to hack these Olympics. They're not going to let this just do nothing. They're going to do something
here. What would we do? That's an interesting development, because I think that such a scenario is very likely, that if they were to do something during the Olympics themselves, what would we do? Especially if we have athletes there, our athletes there.
Yeah. Look, I don't think, Neil, that they would, like, attack the Olympics or anything like that.
No, but I think they would just do a standard test like they've been doing.
I think we would probably amp the sanctions up even more than what they are now. There's a lot more that we can do. I mean, I thought it was a little sad that in the last UN Security Council resolution, we're going to wait 24 months to basically phase out North Korean slave labor. It should have been 30 days. So that's something I think we can do right off the bat if the North Koreans want to test us. I mean, look, the North Korean economy, it's 1/3 the size of Ethiopia. That's where we need to put our focus to really strangulate
countless
them.
Administrations have been arguing the same point very adeptly, right? But sure. to no avail. And the North Koreans still do what they do, and the world still largely ignores this. Global markets still largely ignore this. And I always wonder, there's a point at which you can't ignore something. I don't know what that point would be, but I'm wondering if we just merrily go our own way, markets merrily go their own way, oblivious to the fact that you've got a nut, albeit in a nice gray suit now, talking pretty dark stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think where we are here is I think we're doing every possible thing we can short of war. And I think this administration realizes there is no real viable military option here. Sure, we can go in guns blazing. We could try to take out their nuclear weapons and their missiles. But think about this, Neil. We miss one nuclear weapon. You know that Kim Jong-un's going to turn that on Seoul or Tokyo. And those combined populations are over 60 million people in their metro areas, not even thinking if Kim could hit the U.S. So I think we're doing this strangulation method, and I think it's really working. So I think that is our best option. There really is no military option here unless, we're willing to sacrifice millions of people. That's the honest truth.
Or unless they have a death wish themselves, the North Koreans, because that's a mutual death wish in that case.
Absolutely.
Harry, great seeing you. Happy New Year.